Welcome to another Indie Dev Showcase, highlighting the many indie games we play here on the channel. If you'd like to submit a game for a future video, please reach out. But otherwise, let's begin. We're beginning this week's showcase with the game Terracards. Please know the footage you're seeing is taken from just before its release last year onto Early Access, and may not represent the current version of it. This is another game in the Luck Be a Landlord style of deck builder. Your job is to try and pay your rent using your cards, islands, and various fruits, vegetables, animals, and more. The gameplay here is, of course, each turn you'll be able to decide which cards to play down. The different cards will have various synergies based on what else is on their respective islands. Certain animals may reward you with more gold or produce something if they're near a certain piece of food. Other things can synergize, granting you more rewards, and you must balance water, power, and oil depending on which services will demand them. You'll need to sell your goods or refine them into better products if you want to pay those nasty taxes, and if you don't, of course it is game over. Now, this one can be a little bit tricky to play. There's a lot of dependencies and interactions between everything that's here. You'll need different ways to produce juice, or the juice can be used for different services. Animals again have different interactions, and it's definitely more on the advanced side compared to, say, Luck Be a Landlord, Crop Rotation, and some of the other ones that we've played. So if you're liking this kind of design, looking for a more advanced version, this will come with an easy recommendation. But it still can be a little bit tricky to learn. Again, you're going to be looking at the kind of glossary quite a lot in this one, just to understand, okay, what do I use this stuff for and how do I make X? Because if you don't learn that, well, you're kind of in trouble. So, very interesting take, and again, great for someone who's already learned this design and is looking for kind of the next step up. Speaking of more in the Luck Be the Landlord style, we go to a Lucky Mare. This was played as a demo just before the game was released in early 2024. As with our last game, once again, you are at the behelment of having to pay your taxes. And in order to do that, you must invite a variety of people, aliens, animals, heroes, and wizards to your town to help you pay for that. The kind of dynamics of Lucky Mare is that different characters will once again proc different results based on who's in your town, as well as what resources that are also in there. Some characters will produce a resource or commodity, others will consume that in order to make something else. And of course, if the people are happy and they're in your town, they will pay your taxes. And your amount of taxes will keep going ever more up for as long as you keep playing. I like the variety of characters in this one. There is quite a strange mix of people, things, and other critters that can show up in your town. And it does invite a lot more interesting strategies compared to some of the other games that we've shown. I don't think this is in the same level of complexity as Terracards that we just talked about, but this one does feel like a little bit more of a step up from the original Luck Be a Landlord and so on. So if you're once again not tired of having to pay your taxes, I would give this one a try. Now, if you've been wondering if there will be any very complicated games for this week's showcase, don't you worry, our next game is going to fit that with Aetheris. This is a tactical strategy roguelike, where you play as a tribe of lizards, or shall I say, vazards, which I'm pretty sure I just butchered. They are being chased by malevolent force, and they must fight, power up, and try to survive the wilderness and stay one step ahead of it. This one has a lot of moving parts to how things work. Your different lizards will come with various abilities based on their personalities. So a character who's more aggressive will get access to more kind of offensive attacks, brutal attacks, that kind of thing. More passionate characters may gain healing support. Every character can be equipped with different gear that will influence things further. Combat is entirely turn-based, as you'll need to try and deal with the different enemies, all the while keeping your Vazards from being hurt, as they will have to recover after the fact. This one can be a little bit tricky to learn. Like I said, there's a lot going on in terms of the different personalities, different ailments, buffs, debuffs that can befall your characters. And on top of the fact that since health doesn't recover after combat, means one very bad match can easily spell doom for your group. There's also systems of having characters who die, having their spirit come back to aid you in the future. This is one that I would say is not going to be for someone who is new to tactical strategy, tactical RPG design, or looking for a game that's going to be very easy, very light to get into. But if you're someone who has sharpened your talons and teeth on tactical strategy games and tactical RPGs and looking for a very interesting and original take on it, then you should definitely check this one out. We now go to Rogue Labyrinth. This is played from the demo. The game is currently not out at the time of me recording this. We have another action roguelite for you to enjoy. You are trapped in what appears to be like a gladiator / reality show by an evil magical business tycoon. In order to survive, you must get fans, beat up lots of monsters, make friends or enemies of the various other contestants, and try to get through things one room at a time. Our combat here is built on you being able to, well, not only reflect projectiles back at enemies, but reflect enemies at enemies, or any of the various objects in the arena. You can also get helper abilities from the various other contestants who you can kind of use as a secondary power. There is of course going to be meta progression in terms of unlocking some boosts after each fight, unlocking new items, etc, etc. As you go through each floor, you'll build up Mage Rot, which is kind of like your limiter that's going to stop you from equipping more artifacts and start doing damage to you. So you'll need to balance that with, well, how many artifacts you want to equip over a given run. Now, from our time with the demo, this feels like a very solid action roguelite. I don't know in the full game like how much harder or how much more involved it will be, but if you're a fan of this particular style, I would definitely give this demo a try, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this game will end up when it is released. We now go to Alien Frontier. This is a third-person shooter action roguelite. You've been sent to an alien world to set up harvesting and resource collection for your company. Unfortunately, the local animal life doesn't quite care for that, and you are going to have to fight them off and build things up over a course of multiple days. The gameplay here is a mix of open world as you look for the main resources and bonus ones, and then switching to kind of a third-person wave, third-person shooting style, where enemies will surround you while your buildings are being obstructed, and you must defend it and yourself until it is done. The gameplay felt relatively good here. I'm not quite sure like how the structure of this game is going to be in the main version, as in will this be a run base, kind of like a story / day mode, that kind of thing. But I am interested to see where this one will kind of end up, because there's a lot of interesting and like the individual parts feel good. So if you're looking for another action roguelite and you haven't checked this one out yet, I would give this one a try. And again, I am looking forward to seeing when it is released. We now go to our last game of the showcase this week, and that is Sievert. This is an extraction shooter focusing on PvE as opposed to PvP like the likes of Tarkov. The footage you're seeing is taken from its early access, but the game was officially released in 2024. It is the post-nuclear apocalypse, and everyone's trying to get by one day at a time. You must go out into the wilderness, search for gear to either use or to trade for something that you can use, and try not to get shot, bitten, stabbed, or otherwise while you're gone. The game checks off all the major points of an extraction shooter. You'll go into procedurally generated environments, with each kind of biome or zone having different resources, different enemies that can show up, and your job is to loot anything that isn't nailed down that will help you in some way, shape, or form, while keeping track of your different status ailments and resources. When time is up or you've got enough, you'll need to extract and hopefully make it back to your home base with those goods that you can either use or trade going forward. Now, as with this kind of style, this is meant to be on the challenging side. You really cannot fight multiple enemies at a single time, especially since you can only have vision based on where your character is looking. Everywhere else is kind of going to be a fog of war. Combat is going to be very fast, and when you start out, it is going to be very easy for you to die. As you hopefully start improving, you'll be able to survive longer, get more gear, and start to make some headway in terms of unlocking more goods and things to aid you. If you are not a fan of looter shooters in any which way, this is not going to be the game for you. If you are a fan of extraction shooters and looking for one that's going to be far less stressful for you, by the fact that it's going to be PvE rather than PvP, then this definitely comes with a very high recommendation. So with that, we are done with another week's showcase. You'll find links to everything down below. Let me know what you think about these games as well, and once again, if you want me to play your game for a future stream and showcase, please reach out. Thanks for watching, and see everyone in the next video. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and if you're interested in more in my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.